So here I've reached to this stage, and I have proven that there were verses that came down that legalized the temporary marriage. Now let's address the claims of abrogation, that this verse was abrogated, because some people said, admitted that Umar is the one who prohibited this, and because he was the Khalifa of the Islam, so he had the authority to abrogate the Quran, to change the Quran. But this was obviously unacceptable by the majority of the people, even from the Sunni and all the schools. So they said no. In fact, Omar was just confirming the abrogation of God, and there was a verse which abrogated this, or the Prophet through hadith abrogated the verse. First of all, if there is a verse that came to legalize something, there must be another verse that will abrogate it. And there is no such verse. Yes, there are claims. There are claims that the verses Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون. These verses, which are, there's two of them identical, appearing in Surah Al-Ma'arij and Surah Al-Mu'minun, is narrated to have been abrogated the temporary marriage verse in 424. Now, there's a big problem with this claim, is that both of these verses were revealed before the verse of temporary marriage. So how could the earlier abrogate the later? Abrogation happens by the later abrogating the earlier, not the earlier abrogating the later. So if you check in your Quran, Surah Al-Ma'arij, Surah Al-Mu'minun are what? Madani, Makki verses. They are Makki verse in Mecca, revealed in the first stage. And then the 424 is Madani verse, which was revealed in the second stage, later. And now, back to Mr. Zakah. Zakah was saying that the Shia use confusion. They to confuse between Mut'at al-Hajj and Mut'at al-Nisa, to justify, to say, to use hadith that are talking about Mut'at al-Hajj being allowed, and say this is Mut'at al-Nisa. Now, I would like to say that the confusion is on your behalf, Mr. Zakah. Why? Because you have not studied the hadith, and I'm going to go through them with you, and I'll show you clearly that they have categorized them under the marriage mut'ah, not the hajj mut'ah. Yes, and there is a big relationship between mut'at al-hajj and mut'at al-nisa, is that the same person forbid them, the same person prohibited them, and I will show you in the hadith next. And so if one of them is if the prohibition of mut'at al-hajj is invalid, it should follow that the prohibition of mut'at al-nisa is also invalid, because the same event prohibited both of them and the same person. So if that prohibition was valid, it should stand either for both of them, either both of them should be haram, or both of them should be halal. This is the point why we link between mut'at al-hajj and mut'at al-nisa. And a problem which I like to highlight with Zakah, also, you keep saying this is not authentic. I could not find in authentic is only Bukhari. Who said authentic is only Bukhari? There is, for the Sunnis, they have nine authentic books. In fact, Bukhari himself said that what he compiled in Sahih is only 10% of what he intended to do. So 10%. So how could you limit the whole religion on 10% of something that is incomplete by the admission of its author, and that's written by someone who has such an unknown political agenda with regard to his stance from Ahlul Bayt and his positions, and say the whole religion is just him? No. Sahih Muslim also, and I've used from Ahmed bin Hanbal. You go to the website, I will give you the website, hadithalislam.com, which is from Saudi Arabia, by the way, so it's Salafi, and you will see that the 9 Sahih books. They say to you Sahih al-Tis'a, the 9 Sahih books. Or sometimes they say Sahih al-Sitta, 6, the most strong ones. So therefore Ahmad, Musnad Ahmad is part of them. Abi Dawud al-Tayalisi is part of them. Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari, Sunan Nasa'i, Darimi, and all of the others. So do not try to come to escape the proofs by saying only Bukhari is right, because this is nonsense to limit the whole religion on one person who admits that his work is incomplete.